Hello interns, congrats on getting to your internship. The purpose of this video is to give you a big picture understanding of the EdTPA assessment. There will be additional videos that focus on each of the individual tasks, but this is an overview. EdTPA is a student-centered multiple measure assessment of teaching. It was developed by the profession for the profession. By being student-centered, this means we are moving from the idea that teaching is delivering content and getting through material to the fact that teaching is actually having a positive impact on student learning. The multiple measures that you will be assessed on are your lesson plans, the videos of your instruction, your teaching artifacts, which can be worksheets, presentations, activities, and assessments, student work samples, and also narrative explanations and rationale, which we will now be called commentaries. The EdTPA assessment is meant to evaluate your readiness as a teacher in the context of the effective teaching cycle. What is the effective teaching cycle? It's a way to approach teaching with a focus on student learning. Planning is done by creating lessons that build on the students' content understandings by supporting their learning needs of students and using the knowledge of them to develop activities and assessments. Instruction is executing your plans while providing your students with a positive and inviting learning environment. Your instruction should engage the learners and deepen their thinking about the subject-specific knowledge. Assessment is done to analyze student learning and provide specific feedback and support students to use it. Ultimately, the data that comes from the assessments should inform your future instruction, which is why this is a cycle and not linear. It's also important to note that academic language can be found in all parts of the effective teaching cycle, which is why it's found in all parts of the EdTPA assessment. EdTPA is made up of 3 tasks. Task 1 is planning, where you're getting to know your students both academically and personally and using that knowledge to plan a learning segment. Task 2 is instruction, where you're teaching the planned learning segment to your students. And task 3 is assessment, where you're analyzing the assessment data and using it to inform your instruction. The artifacts in task 1 that you will provide are your instructional and social context, lesson plans, instructional materials and student assignments, and your planning commentary. The artifacts for task 2 you will provide are an unedited video clips and your instruction commentary. Task 3 artifacts will be the evaluation criteria used to analyze your student learning, the analysis of your whole class assessment, analysis of learning and sample feedback of 3 students, and your assessment commentary. The first resource you'll be introduced to is your subject-specific handbook. This is your lifeline to complete EdTPA. It is advised everywhere to read it twice. Any questions that you may have, the answer can usually be found inside of it somewhere. Each task has a section telling you what to think about, what to do, and what to write, along with each of the rubrics that will be used to score your submission. Pay attention to the evidence chart for all the file formats, page limits, number of files, and additional details about each part being submitted. EdTPA language seems confusing, but the glossary explains the specific language used and also gives you great details on the academic language required for your subject-specific submission. The next resource you will be exposed to is the Making Good Choices Guide. I advise you to begin at the Getting Started section of this document to help you understand the big picture of the assessment. After that, this document is best used alongside the handbook as you complete all the pieces in the different tasks. Why is this important? Because each section has a key decisions chart that links you to specific information on each part of the task, and they have a key points chart that tells you what to include and what to avoid for each task. The last resource you need to be familiar with is the Understanding Rubric Level Progressions. This resource is designed to describe the meaning behind each of the rubrics. There are typically 15 per subject area. It shows you what prompts are looked at to score each specific rubric, along with definitions of key terms used in the rubrics. It gives you examples that distinguish between levels for each rubric, meaning what distinguishes between a level 3 or below a level 3 and above a level 3. This document is best used when revising and editing your work at the end. You can self-assess yourself easily using this document because it is the one that scorers use alongside the rubrics. The rubrics progress from a level 1 to 5. Level 1 reflects characteristics of not being ready to teach. Level 3 reflects characteristics of a qualified early novice. And Level 5 reflects characteristics of a highly accomplished beginner. We are aiming for Level 3 or higher. Typically, 5 different rubrics per task totaling to 15, and each of them has a different guiding question. The passing scores for the different assessments, if you have a 13 rubric assessment, which is typically world language, you need to have a score of 32. 15 rubric assessment, which is most other programs, you need a passing score of 38. And if you do the elementary with task 4, you will need a 45 to pass. Now it's time to get started. First things first, read your entire handbook. It is recommended to read it through twice. Next, make sure you access the Student Support website. There's many materials on there that will help you be successful. Next, be sure to send home your video consent forms. There are links for these forms on the website, and it also includes a Spanish version. These last 2 steps are to help you complete the first artifact for Task 1, your context for learning. It is important to know your students both academically and personally to begin planning your instruction, so getting to know your students and communicating with your partnership teacher is important. Remember to post any questions you may have to the discussion board in the Canvas course. To aid in your time management, adhere to the check sheet timeline provided for you to ensure you are dedicating adequate time to the different tasks. Most importantly, remember, this is 100% doable. Use all of the resources provided to help you be successful. Good luck!